I would like to say that, as a kid I enjoyed watching Tom and Jerry, however, the channel it was available on only showed it during the daytime, when I was in school. I kept asking my mother for DVDs of the show, but she refused my request given the violent nature of the show. Over time, my house has gotten pretty messy. We had too many items of clothing and boxes of stuff that we mostly didn't need. My mom finally decided to clean out the house, having me help her. We got through a majority of the rooms and had garbage bags full of stuff to donate. We had one room left, the media room. While she cleaned off a desk, I attempted to clear out a closet. Removing most of the clothing revealed a stack of wooden boxes in the back of the closet. Curious, I opened the box, revealing a collection of VHS tapes. A lot of great movies were in the collection, from classic Disney movies to the Godfather trilogy to Gone with the Wind. I kept searching through the collection, until I came across something I would have never expected. A copy of Tom and Jerry's 50th birthday classics on VHS. Surprisingly, the copy wasn't opened, still in its original case and plastic wrap. I asked my mom, "Hey, where did this come from? I don't remember you buying this." My mom then got a shocked expression on her face and hung her head. She proceeded to explain that it was a gift from my aunt that was supposed to be given to me on my 7th birthday. I asked why I didn't ever receive this gift. My mom then explained that shortly before my birthday, my aunt was involved in a robbery. She elaborated that two crackheads entered her home and started taking some of her belongings. My aunt woke up and noticed two men wearing sheets over their heads. The men ran to her and beat her senseless. Her face was bloody and bruised and she had a really hideous black eye. There was even a claim that a lock of her hair was ripped out. The men then forced her to lay down on her stomach and proceeded to behead her with a tactical axe. My aunt was discovered by my mother the next day, and she called the police. While she waited, she looked around the house for clues. On the kitchen table was a wrapped present. The tag indicated that the present was for me. Sure enough, the present was the Tom and Jerry VHS. My mom kept it hidden from me, until I found it for myself. I was horrified by the story, but I was just happy that I was able to watch a cartoon I've been interested in for so long. We continued cleaning and finally finished. Around 5:30 or so, my mother left to go on a date with the man who is my current stepdad. I knew she was staying overnight, and being an only child, I had some time to myself. I played my Xbox for a while, but I was quickly becoming bored. Then I remembered my brand new VHS of Tom and Jerry. I opened the packaging and took the tape out of the case. The tape was in mint condition with the original label and rewound to the beginning. I popped the tape in and the FBI warning came up as normal. I watched the first episode on the tape, and the nostalgia rush was intense. I hadn't watched this show very much as a kid, and the network quit showing it a while ago. The video was rolling very smoothly, and then in the middle of the second episode, the screen went black. A new title card then appeared. It had a gray background with a shadow of a guillotine and in red writing, "Death of the French." I found this hilarious given my family's French descent, so I kept watching. It was a normal episode where Tom, Jerry, and Nibbles were musketeers. In the episode, the king has tasked Tom with keeping the noise down so that he could sleep. The king said if Tom woke him up, he would have Tom sentenced to death. Tom gave a saluting gesture and the king went to sleep. The episode continued as usual, but something didn't seem right. I rewound the tape and looked closer. What I found was very disturbing. The violence was more detailed and gory than I could ever remember it. For example, there was a part where Tom used a knife to stop Jerry from running away by holding the knife on Jerry's tail. Instead of holding Jerry down, The knife completely chopped off Jerry's tail and blood started dripping out of it. It wasn't exactly gushing, but a trail of it was created as Jerry ran away. In the next shot, his tail was back to normal. Events like this kept happening with things like Tom's tail getting chopped off, Tom's eye being gouged out with a cork, and even Tom being split in the half, showing photorealistic insides. At the end of the episode, the king is awoken and Tom is taken for execution. The next shot showed Jerry and Nibbles walking down an old-fashioned French street eating sausages and cheeses, when they hear the sound of a crowd chanting. The camera goes to Jerry's point of view, as he looks above at a guillotine. I was told by a friend that normally, you only saw the blade come down and heard the sound of it banging against the wood, then it cut back to the mice. However, this time, the blade didn't fall. Instead, the shot went to Tom being brought to the guillotine by 2 guards and the king. The crowd kept yelling, and I even heard phrases such as, "Kill him," and "We want blood." I could then see Tom physically becoming enraged and started resisting the guards, kicking one of them in the knee. The crowd went insane, yelling even louder, and the king yelled, "End it. Do it now." 2 men then appeared dressed as old-fashioned executioners, masks and all. They ran up to Tom and proceeded to beat him into the ground. Looking closer, you could see Tom's face bloody and bruised, and even a lock of hair was pulled out. After a good beating, Tom was forced to lie down inside of the guillotine and was immediately beheaded. His body was still visible, while his head disappeared into a basket. Blood was realistically spewing from the neck. It started strong, then proceeded to just drip from the neck. The next shot was a close-up of Tom's bloody and beaten face in the basket. Tom's eyes were blinking for a few seconds, as the camera zoomed out, but the blinking stopped. The shot cut to the mice, and just like in the episode, Nibbles says, "Poor, poor pussycat," and him and Jerry continue eating and walking. The shot went back up to the guillotine, which now had blood all over its bottom. From the basket, a spirit of Tom was rising up. The figure was bleach white and Tom's eyes were blank and not blinking from what I saw. The spirit rose outside of the frame, then the episode cut into static. The static lasted for a few seconds, and now the portion playing was from another episode in which Tom goes to heaven. Tom was still bleach white and his eyes were still blank. It cut to the portion where Tom tries to sneak past the ticket collector. The ticket collector catches Tom and calls him out on the horrible things he's done to Jerry. The ticket collector says that Tom doesn't receive forgiveness from Jerry, he will go to hell. When the ticket collector said that Tom would go to hell, the ticket collector's voice turned very deep and demonic. The voice gave me chills just listening to it. The tape then went black, and I could hear the sound of what might have been Tom asking Jerry for forgiveness, but sped up. I could then hear the sound of a bell ringing very loudly. Then the demonic ticket collector said, "I'm sorry, Tom." An image finally showed Tom falling down into a pit. He was still bleach white, but this time, his eyes were red with no pupils. Finally, Tom lands in a cauldron and he does a very falsetto, spine-chilling scream. The devil, also known as Spike the Bulldog with horns, starts laughing, but his original laugh was deepened and slowed down. The devil also used the pronged end of his pitchfork to shove Tom deep into the cauldron. Instead of pushing Tom in, however, the pitchfork stabbed Tom and all of the holes created by the pitchfork were visible. Tom also appeared to have his skin progressively burned and peeled off, revealing realistic muscle and tissue underneath. I rewound the tape to the beginning and noticed that the episode started at 11:34. At this point, I've had to stop the video. I immediately ejected the tape and placed it in the case. I placed the case on top of the desk in the media room. I had trouble sleeping that night, so I stayed up the rest of the night playing League of Legends, hoping it would get my mind off the horrifying, childhood ruining tape. At about 3 a.m., I attempted to sleep again and succeeded. The next day, I decided to find the tape so I could finish the footage just out of curiosity. I looked on the desk and around the media room, but I couldn't find it. I found out that my mom donated the tape along with all the others to a Goodwill. I drove to the Goodwill, and it was already sold. It was sad that I lost such a rare tape. Fortunately, I was able to distract myself with my video games and working on projects for school that I was safe from nightmares. However, my sleep cycle was severely disturbed for about 2 months. I was very tired and my grades dropped from A's to B's and C's. Normally, I wouldn't find something like this all that disturbing, but it was just very disturbing and creepy how similar Tom's death was compared to my aunt's death. The fact that the episode was set in France, my family's country of origin, didn't help to suppress the memories. I still picture Tom's death in my head and get chills from it. My mom doesn't believe me, but I am still hunting for the tape. When I get it back, my mom will see the horror for herself. The 13 Tom and Jerry shorts made by the Czechoslovakian director, Gene Deitch, are infamous for their poor quality and rather disturbing nature, featuring badly done sound effects and animation and having a more realistic feel to the violence. Some have speculated that Deitch didn't like the concept behind Tom and Jerry and was pressured into making them, and wanted to make the people who watched his take on it feel bad for liking the concept. What many people don't know is that Deitch was originally signed on to make more than the 13 episodes the public has access to. Desperate to get out of his contract, Deitch made one more Tom and Jerry short that few have ever seen. The short was called Tom's Basement. It opened with Tom in a typical Tom and Jerry house. His owner was the fat, angry guy from other Deitch shorts. Tom's owner seemed even angrier than in his other appearances. The first scene is him stomping on Tom's tail in a very realistic and painful looking way, because Tom is sleeping by the basement door. The owner yells at Tom to never go down there. Tom is clearly terrified and runs away to another room. Our view stays in the room by the basement door and we see Jerry come out of a mouse hole. He looks truly grotesque, far more off-model than in the other Deitch shorts. He gets an evil look on his face and follows Tom into the next room. The next few minutes are fairly formulaic. Jerry repeatedly manages to trick Tom into chasing him to the basement door a few times, but each time the owner catches Tom. He inflicts a painful-looking injury on him, which stay with Tom even after the scene ends. After 3 beatings, Tom is bruised all over, bleeding in a few places, and limping on a broken leg. After this, Tom starts to literally beg Jerry not to bother him anymore. He's not really talking, but he's crying and mumbling, and you can tell what he's doing by his body language. Jerry just laughs at him and pushes him back to the basement door. The owner catches Tom again and goes ballistic. The camera zooms in on his face, it changes color and distorts, as he yells at Tom in a much louder voice than any other sound in the cartoon. I can't post most of what he said on here, but it's definitely vicious and furious. It seems like Jerry has finally decided to take pity on Tom, though. Jerry picks up a knife that was lying around and stabs the owner in the leg, quite graphically. Tom opens the basement door and they carry the owner's body down the stairs. There are dozens of other bodies down there, decaying and showing signs of their violent deaths. Tom and Jerry shake hands and it seems like they've triumphed over the serial killer. But Jerry gets an evil look in his face again and Tom says, in that ghostly, deep voice,
"Don't you believe it?"
Jerry stabs Tom, killing him, and throws his body into the pile. The last shot is Jerry putting up a for sale sign on the yard of the house, laughing, clearly planning to do it all again. Do you know about the lost Tom and Jerry episode called Tom's Basement? Well, there was another episode that the Czechoslovakian director, Gene Deitch, entitled Jerry's Death. Not much is known about this episode or why it was made. It was told that Gene Deitch made it so he could get fired, because he didn't like the concept behind Tom and Jerry. A report says that a man named John Mabaruk found the episode online and bought in on eBay. He later committed suicide after watching the episode. He was found in his bathroom with his wrists slit and a note on the tape which said, "They told me to." Paranormal investigators concluded that a voice in his head told him to commit suicide. Another man by the name of Xavier Smith found the tape and recorded a short part of the episode shortly after hanging himself. The incomplete episode starts out with a grainy clip of Tom chasing Jerry. Jerry throws food at Tom and he bumps into an ironing board and the iron burns him, leaving the Cartoon Network logo. The screen turns black for 2 seconds and it shows a federal warning with the sound of static. The screen cuts black for about 3 seconds and it starts like a regular Tom and Jerry episode, but with a grainy image. The title theme abruptly cuts and a static noise plays, while a test card is shown with text that says, "Jerry's Death." It then cuts to Jerry and a duckling running away from Tom, who has a cleaver attempting to kill them both. He chops a roof support, sending the roof on top of his head. Jerry and the duckling lift up a roof tile that they were under and scurry away. The duckling runs and Jerry is far back. Jerry decides to hide in a wooden pole. Tom follows Jerry with the cleaver. Jerry peeks his head out and Tom swings at Jerry. He misses. The duckling quickly turns around and starts to chop off the top of the wooden pole with an axe, while Tom keeps swinging the cleaver at Jerry. The pole starts to fall and Tom starts to run, but the pole hits Tom. Then it cuts to a black screen with the sounds of a car crashing and a soft static noise. This remains on screen for about a few seconds. Then it shows a corrupted picture of Jerry from the Tom's Basement short. He has a devilish grin. This remains on screen for about 45 to 50 seconds. During this screen, there's soft talking and static noise which gradually gets louder and softer. There is also the sounds of what appears to be footsteps. The screen then cuts to black, which some various sounds play. Then it cuts to a corrupted screen which is blue in color. There are various sounds that play here. The screen then cuts to black with the noises still playing. It cuts to a split-second frame of Tom on his knees. The noises continue to play. Then it cuts to what appears to be a mountain on a reddish background. A depressing tune starts to play. Then it cuts to a corrupted frame of what appears to be Tom. Then it cuts to another frame that shows what appears to be a tombstone. The screen cuts to black while still playing the tune. Then it cuts to a corrupted commercial. It starts to play a raw, distorted version of the music. Then the cartoon finishes. The tape was never found. Only a short, incomplete version was recorded by an unknown source. Some say that it was all in their heads. Others say it was real. An unknown YouTube user claims that the tape is in government hands. Till this day, we'll never know. Tom and Jerry is one of the most popular cartoon series to ever exist. Alongside Looney Tunes, it is safe to say almost everyone has heard of the cast of Tom and Jerry, especially the titular cat and mouse duo which made the show what it is. I've watched every Tom and Jerry cartoon imaginable, even a few most people have probably never even heard about. There is one episode, however, that not even I have seen. It was an episode that was never aired. Now I bet you're asking, well then, how do you even know about this episode? The answer is quite simple. My cousin claims to have seen it due to links to online piracy sites and so forth. I do not condone piracy, as it is illegal, but hey, I can't very well control the actions of my cousin, can I? The following story is what my cousin told me, and to be frank, you can take from it what you will. Maybe he was making it up, or maybe there was some truth in it. At any rate, it will likely raise a few eyebrows. It sure did, when I told the story to my friends. It began, my cousin claims, one night, when he was on the computer. One of his friends sent him a pirated version of a supposedly unaired Tom and Jerry episode named Suffering. My cousin was skeptical of this, and played it, expecting a hoax. Instead of a hoax, what he got was the traditional Tom and Jerry intro, which cut to a red screen with the text, Suffering, printed in a bold font. The screen faded to show Tom sitting alone in what appeared to be an abandoned house, looking rather ill and dejected. He just sat there for a few minutes in silence, before he got to his feet and slowly made his way over to a nearby wall. Tom stared at the mouse hole in the wall for a few more minutes, as the camera shifted, zooming into the mouse hole and revealing Jerry in his little matchbox bed. The camera zoomed in on the mouse, who lay motionless with his eyes closed, as if he were asleep. Jerry's fur was lighter than usual, and everything was silent, in stark contrast to the usual chaos of the cartoon. The camera zoomed out to show Tom standing outside the mouse hole. The cat suddenly broke down on the spot, as he cried bitterly and fell to his knees, banging on the wall repeatedly. The camera zoomed back to Jerry, still laying in the little matchbox bed, Tom banging on the wall outside, as Jerry remained absolutely still. The scene then faded to black, and a message appeared, reading, "Life is fleeting and it is not, until it is gone, that friends truly understand. Years of arguing come to an end, petty squabbling, pointless suffering, now it is too late, you had your chance, you are alone." My cousin claims that's where the episode ended, and he felt a deep sense of despair in his heart which he says never really went away. Even today, he claims to feel that same sense of despair, as if someone or something had taken away his sense of meaning. I asked my cousin to show me the episode, but he said he didn't want me to feel the way he did and refused. In some ways, that made me kind of doubtful at first. Though now, looking back, I feel he genuinely didn't want to share whatever he experienced with me. The rest, I shall leave for you to decide.